89.
89. Just wait for it. What if I don't say it? Would you sit there and not say anything until I say it? Make me feel super awkward?
Yeah. But then I can edit it out.
Oh, the pause?
I don't have to. I could just leave it in there to make it awkward. Increase awkwardness.
Do you think there's a podcast out there that the entire goal is just to increase awkwardness?
That's
Maybe
our
it's our
podcast.
podcast.
I'm like, what's our podcast? What are you talking about?
That is true. If nothing else, it's just extremely, extremely honest and direct and viscerally uncomfortable.
Honest, direct, and viscerally uncomfortable. Episode 1. That's a good name for a podcast.
We should rebrand.
We should rename it. Rebrand it.
So yeah. So on the topic of viscerally uncomfortable. Okay, so I think we were just kind of like continuing the previous episode, but it's going to be, it could stand on its own, but it's kind of all is a continuation. I had to go to the dentist, and I've been struggling with a tooth. And the dentist told me that I potentially need a root canal. And so like, I already knew that I was struggling with a tooth, but I don't know what I thought. But obviously, in this case, the medical issue has nothing to do, but it's just an outflow of an emotional and like a mind response to the body, right? So emotional,
as pretty much all medical things are.
Yeah. And for longest time, I was struggling with my shoulder, like. And I Googled both of them. Well, no, I Googled the shoulder for sure because it was actually painful. Like the tooth was never painful, but the shoulder was painful. And then, the right shoulder, right arm from this. So interpretation of a emotional outflow of how it represents medically, right? It means like I'm not reaching for something. It's a right arm. So it's my dominant arm. So it's like I'm unable to reach or unable to hold, unable to have flexibility in the reach, right?
Is that from Louis Hay's list? Louis Hay's list?
No, it's that interpretation. It was my interpretation.
Okay.
And so I was attempting to work through that when I had my shoulder issues. Just this idea that, right, if the shoulder has an issue and then there's a flexibility issue, right, like inflexible, unable to grasp, unable to have a full breadth of movement reach. So like the perception of being limited, right? And so struggling with that, right? Or either my psyche perceives the limitation and I'm struggling with that perception, or I'm actually not reaching or think I'm not reaching, or actually not reaching. But then my mind then is struggling with the not reaching. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about that a lot, right? And I was trying to process it, and the shoulder actually is getting a lot better. But the tooth, I in this case, I looked at the Louise Hayes thing. And so she wrote a book about like medical diagnoses. And it's basically talking about how the medical diagnosis is usually a direct representation, quite literally a literal extension of what is it that you're experiencing emotionally.
Yeah. They're weirdly literal.
Yeah. And so, and Dolores Cannon's daughter, I want to say her name is Sandy or Sandra. It starts with an S. She wrote her own book, and I want to say it's called Soul Speaks, and I read it. And kind of same concept. This is before I even knew of Louise Hay's version of it, and kind of the same concept. So like Dolores Cannon in her past life regressions went through this whole list with her clients of like trying to diagnose like intuitively their medical ailments in the physical world into their, spiritual, emotional outflows. And in Louise Hay list, like teeth issues is like can bite into something, and if it's a root issue, like feeling uprooted. So this is long segue into feeling uprooted, and so I was thinking, well, yeah, duh. Of course, I feel uprooted because it feels like to me, and I have been struggling again. Previous episode, I mentioned an episode before, an episode before, an episode before. So I think for the last several months, I keep on mentioning is it feels like everything is just completely uprooted. And did you see that thing that I sent you on Instagram? Okay. It was like a little cartoon about like a person saying, I would like to move past, like, can I move into a new experience? Can I move into a new interpretation of self? And then like the universe takes everything away. And the little person goes, oh, maybe you can link and then show notes to it. And the universe takes everything away. And the person's like, well, no, I don't want everything taken away. And she's like, but everything that you have ever had represents your past. Like it is directly tied to everything that you are, right? Your career, your friends, your relationship, your outlooks, your everything. And the person's like, yeah, but I don't feel safe without all of that. I feel scared. And they're like, yeah, but if I can give it all back to you, but then you will be stagnant. And so everything that you want that is growth will not be able to come with you, because everything that you hold or is from your past is there holding you back, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's much more well done. It's like a cute little cartoon. It's really cute. And then the person's like, oh yeah. And so she's like, yeah, if I give it all back. And then like on the back of it, there's like a sign, like past expiration or something is basically like, you're just holding on to old things, right? Like the same thing with our conversation in the last basket, the old paradigms. You're just holding on to something that doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And the person's like, yeah, well, when you position it that way, like if I'm not going to grow and everything is holding me back, I definitely don't want that. And so the universe is like, yeah, that's fine. And it's like, yeah, but I still feel uncomfortable and I still feel scared. And she's like, and that's fine too. So I'm getting emotional about this because it's very touching. Anyway, very relatable. And so that feeling of uprooting is because when you move forward into something that is completely new, right? Everything that you have ever known is gone. And that's, I guess that's how it feels to me, at least. That like it's very visceral because I'm attempting to actually feel it for the first time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
it's not that the old things, like if you asked me 10 years ago, have there been old things that have left and went away? I would have said, well, yeah. But I think the difference is I'm allowing myself to viscerally feel the discomfort that comes along with that much pain and of unknown and fear of unknown.
Yeah. And it's like, obviously things come and go, but it's like, was it things that were important? Was it things that were difficult to let go of is what may change it. It's like, if there's something, the more attached you are to something, the harder it is to let go of it. Right. That's like the whole idea of being attached to something. But, at the same time, the more attached you are to something, maybe the more you need to let go of it because it might be holding you back.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think maybe the more truer aspect is every single time in the past where something was leaving me or had to let go or it was like removed out of my life, my psyche grabbed onto something else to replace it. It was always a replacing off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that idea that, they say the best way to break an addiction or the easiest way to break an addiction is replace addiction with a different addiction, a better addiction.
Sure.
Right. And that's how obviously I say that realizing that is not the correct way to do anything, but that is a step forward. Like, instead of heroin, you start running, you know what I mean? Like that seems more kosher, but in the long run, it's still an addiction. Right. And in the long run, you would go, well, yeah, heroin was better than running, but do I want to have an addiction? And the answer is, well, no. And so same thing, but I think all of my past behaviors have been, if something were to leave, if I were let go or something were to disappear out of my life, my psyche would handle it by replacing it or reconcentrating on something else.
Yeah, me too.
And so that would not have the system go into this absolute haywire of like unknown and discomfort at the scary mode of fear. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like my safety wasn't as threatened because instead of allowing myself to realize how unsafe it feels, I would just simply grab onto something else. Part distraction, part like, oh, well, this is normal because replacing this with this is okay.
Yeah. It's it feels close to an identity crisis, but without the identity part of it. It's more of like, whereas the identity crisis feels almost internal, this feels more external.
Well, it's I think with me at least, it's the first time I'm realizing that it is not the norm to take something that is going away and then be replacing it. And so maybe the question is, did I derive identity in those past things? I mean, probably I didn't, how can you not, right? But at the same time, I don't feel like it. But I think what it said to me, with me, my pain body is not tied to identity. Like that's your thing, being identified as something. With me, it's the safety. The past things offered safety. If it's known, it's safer, right? If it has been this way for a while, it's safer.
Yeah.
And so that, your trigger would be identity. Well, who am I? How can I be loved, or how am I wanted or good if I'm not this, right? Like if you're all of a sudden, we're not a computer engineer and you did not do anything
right
that related. Like there's no way your identity is not tied to that.
Right.
But to me, like maybe, us being in marketing, right? Or me being in marketing, that has never been my identity, but it is there as a safety net for the unsafety.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever, not because it I identify as, but it is something that I derive income out of. It is something that, that's it. It's income. It's income driven, right? Just because I have associated so much of my safety in relation to monetary stability.
Right.
So that would be my biggest trigger. And I'm not even saying things are going away, but because I'm viscerally in this concept of everything, even if things are not going away, the positioning in my psyche of those things is going away. Like how I can no longer look at myself doing marketing and being able to hold the comfort of money in that item.
Okay. Yes, I can. I can relate to that through in my own way. Yes,
right.
Because it's like, from a third person, it would look no different. I still do the things, but they don't mean the same thing anymore.
Yeah.
And in fact,
the meaning is being stripped away.
Right. There's the meaning. Stripped away.
Yeah.
Meaning is it's falling away. That's how I would word it.
Well, with me, it's stripped away because, realistically speaking,
that's because stripped away sounds more visceral than falling away.
Yeah. Well, to me, it's very visceral because stripping away of it, I'm tying into how much discomfort I feel behind this meaning losing its assignment.
Yeah. And to be falling away because it feels like I'm almost being pulled into the peace on the inside. And like these things that were actually like barriers to that are just falling away.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's a much more, if we're going through the same thing, and it sounds like we kind of are, mine is a much calmer and more peaceful version than yours.
Yeah, no, I'm not handling it well. Obviously, I mean, hence my tooth.
I'm kind of enjoying it.
No, I told one of my friends this, but like I'm becoming more comfortable with the discomfort.
I am too.
But it is still, maybe because so much of my comfort of safety is tied to all of these things. They should have never been tied, right? But that's just the toolkit that I had and I used up until now to feel safe, right? To be okay. And so because the assignment of value in all of these things, right? Like if you, in the cartoon, the representation was very literal and physical, like, okay, career and friends and family and hobbies and I don't know. It was basically like, imagine like a whole group of like people, and then they had like identity, caricatures on them. And so there was like everything that is them in the past is falling away. And so you could almost interpret it like, oh, the career is gone. And it could be that. But I think more importantly is the uprooting could be that things are not necessarily shifting or changing all that much, but the perception of the trauma that those things were soothing is shifting. I'm just rewording the same thing we just said. The perception, right? If what in the past I derived out of my career was soothing of trauma, of discomfort in regards to safety, in regards to money, that's being stripped away, right? Because I'm constantly trying to be aware when I'm triggered into the trauma of unsafety regarding money.
Right.
And I'm always aware of that. I'm always like, oh, look, it's hitting that, or look, it's hitting that. And so my internal goal, or like goal of growth or development, is to start to learn, or, right, be aware of these triggers, and then go, oh, look, here's modern day or current day or position you're using it into now to soothe this. That's not going to work. Let's go inside when you're a child and you're feeling that trauma.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that separation makes the old things not work the way they used to. And, that could mean anything. That could mean, like, quite literally, me being a marketer just completely falls off the board. And that's okay. Or it could mean that I continue to do it, but I no longer associate with anything unkosher. I would say unkosher. I know Annabelle doesn't like that word, but it's basically something that instead of being it for what it is, I'm actually using it as a tool to soothe my pain body, as opposed to acknowledging my pain body and feeling it independently of any outside tools, outside triggers.
Right. No, I understand.
So yeah, uprooted. I was like, oh yeah, and quite literally, right, as far as tooth issues go, like the root.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, I mean, and this is the question that I like went to bed with, is I see that it does make me feel uprooted. And I see that, yeah, I feel uncomfortable, right? Like I feel uncomfortable because it feels like I'm in a new space and I don't even know how to go about soothing myself. Right, because I actively try not to soothe myself with distractions or addictions or outside sources of
distraction.
Yeah, but like, right, because I'm in essence, one is unhealthy for general healing, right? It's not healthy for me to just distract or use an outside projection to not see how I actually feel internally. But two, I feel like it does disservice to that action, right? If I'm doing marketing, I should just be doing it because I love it and because I'm flowing in it.
Right. If you're bringing your pain body into the act of marketing, it's not going to be as good as it would otherwise.
Yeah, I want to do it because my heart sings in it and I flow, and I don't want my bullshit of unprocessed awareness to take me away from it.
I mean, all the best work from anybody and everybody is done when it's coming from the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've said that we've said this before in the podcast, is like you can have a career where you actually do what you love. But at the same time, if you don't do awareness work and processing work, your pain body still gets tied into it. But just because that is something you dedicate attention to.
Yeah.
So, do I enjoy doing it independently? It's a question I need to ask myself without the pain body. And I would say yes. Like most of the time, if we sit down and I'm doing it, I'm super excited about it. But if I'm activated and triggered, then it's a whole other take on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now I know there are times when you, or at least I, have to do something even if I don't want to do it, right? If there's a problem on the server, I have to fix it. Let's say I have to fix it. Do I have to fix it? Maybe not. But there are severe consequences if I don't.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, it's like if I'm not inspired to do something, especially something creative,
Mm-hmm.
it's just not going to work.
No, and marketing, that's all that.
Right. And so there will be things that, need to get done that I'm like, well, not today, or at least not right now today.
Mm-hmm.
Or even like personal projects. It's like my excitement on various projects comes and goes. And it's like, if I'm not excited about it, it's like, could I slog through it and make progress? Yeah, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
And it would also be slow, and I would be tedious, and it would feel like a burden to do, instead of, if the next day I would just want to jump in and couldn't wait to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is affecting that mood?
I mean, I think at some point you have to recognize that it is okay to follow your general intuition, or just the feeling of the body.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was sick a couple of weeks ago and I just laid in bed, for 3 days, like, that was the right thing to do. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To allow the body to heal.
Yeah.
Yeah. This came up, but this is just kind of like a side anecdote. I remember back when we used to do a lot of content development, and like I would write all the text for the clients for the website. I remember this one was hanging over me, and I was like, and I didn't want it, because like this particular text was just so, this is relevant as far as pain body processing goes. But like when you write text for SEO, for search engines in order to get ranking, like it has to be written, one, for the client, but then two, it has to have all these, Google algorithm markings in it. And it just, this particular topic, I was just like, I felt sluggish in it.
Yeah.
Maybe just because honestly, I wasn't aligned with it. We don't even have that client anymore. But I remember I had to make myself, I drove down to a coffee shop. I drove down to Panera, like first thing in the morning. Like I left the house and I drove down to Panera. At the time I was still drinking coffee. I drank coffee and I like got a bear claw or whatever. No, I love their bear claws. And I remember just exiting the environment that I was in and entering into a productive coffee shop. Coffee shop, like people do creative writing.
It
it
has its own vibe to it.
So that was a tool I used to trick my system into doing something I actually didn't want to do. But I put myself into the environment that facilitated a more productive environment. One, two, because I removed myself from the place where like, I just want to do it. And at home I could have 100 distractions of why I'm not going to do it. But I went to the coffee shop. I'm like, okay, I'm committing to this. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write all the text, and it took me half a day to do it. But I was in the environment where there was nothing else. And this, I kind of like drove myself into it, and I sat there all, through that morning writing the text.
Did I don't know who it is. Did they end up ranking well?
Yeah. Yeah. And that was really good. Now, yes. Right. So it's like, as far as, when I was doing it, I wasn't begrudgingly doing it. I was doing it out of commitment, but like it would just seem like such an overwhelming and large task. And I really cared about it. And I think that's another thing, is I really wanted this to work. And I knew that I needed to do it right. In order to do it right, I wasn't going to half-ass it. And so the coffee shop was just a trick to basically push myself through some mental boundary about it.
There are tricks about, changing your environment in order to promote or demote some sort of behavior. It's like,
yeah, but in the long run, I say that this was 10 years ago, and this was still an escapism, as opposed to facing what is it that I was feeling.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? That was the trick that I used, and I remember it because it worked. But at the same time, now looking back at it, it's like there was zero evaluation of why.
Right.
Is this in alignment with me? Am I dreading it? Am I scared of it? Is this fear-based? And it was probably all of those things, because that client was probably not in alignment with us.
When you said that that it really mattered that you do a good job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's another.
Yeah,
it's like, obviously I want to do I think everybody wants to do a good job. everybody, I think, and for the most part, whatever they're doing, whether that's work, whether that's, cleaning the house, whether that's, it doesn't matter, wants to, there's, I think everybody has this sense of, well, if I'm going to do it, I may as well do it right, do it good.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand sometimes you're not in the mood to clean the house. And sometimes, I'm feeling kind of tired or lazy and whatever. And so am I going to really make sure I hit every corner with a vacuum? Maybe not. I get it. I do. But there's that. And then there's, I really, really need to do this right. There's like this.
Well, I don't have that. It's never that much to me.
Okay.
I'm never grinding my teeth at it. I know you do.
I have, yeah.
Well, because with you,
no, it's different for me.
Yeah, with you, it's tied to you. Your performance is tied to your self-worth,
yes,
and your identity, and so therefore you're nothing without it.
Right.
With me, it's tied to monetary gains.
Right, and so that's where I was going. Was like, did you feel that if we do a good job, there will be more money in it? Somehow?
At that point, we already had the money, and I didn't want to let them down. But it was not because that was my identity. Is because I wanted to do good by them. So I think it was still kosher. But I think the topic and the industry was not in alignment. And so I think, that's what it was. Like deep down, I actually felt like even though this was a paying client and well-paying client, I felt like it was, like a non-kosher industry. Yeah, it was so I think that's what it was deep down. Because like now thinking back, I'm glad that we don't have this client. And I'm like, yeah, maybe that was one of the clients we should have never taken on just because of the industry that they were in. No, there were plenty of clients we should have never taken on because they were disrespectful.
Right.
And that's a whole other thing. And in this case, disrespect, something was there, but it was not disrespect, it was manipulation. To a lesser extent. But I think it was also, I wasn't aligned with it.
Yeah. It's completely off topic, but it is amazing how many clients that were not aligned with us have fallen away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Like, but that makes me feel unsafe and not
right.
Rooted,
No,
right?
I mean, it's like, would I rather have the money? Sure. But at the same time, I mean, calling it dirty money is the wrong thing to say, but that's not far off. It's like, there is this like, if you're not aligned with something and you're getting paid for it, it kind of feels like the money's a little bit tainted in a way. It can feel like that, right? It could probably make good money robbing a bank or being a hitman or something, but is that money going to feel good at the end of the day? Well, not really.
Yeah, but in this case, we're actually facilitating the service that they're paying us to provide.
Sure, everything. I'm not saying anything's not above board. It all is what we were doing. But
yeah,
I have an idea who this might be. But right. I mean, I'm just thinking back to some of the just disrespectful clients who wanted a whole bunch of stuff and didn't want to pay for it and everything.
Oh yeah. And
it's like, it's like while we made money on it. And, we could say maybe in the end it wasn't worth the dollars per hour or whatever.
Yeah, but what kind of clients that they don't want to pay you for the work that you do?
Yeah, but
that doesn't even, that's not even kosher, period.
Yeah, but
I'm talking about like we do the work and they're willing to pay, but there's something off, right? But here's the thing is we are changing who we are and we are changing the retrospect of ourselves of why we engage in certain things.
Yes.
Right. So things will naturally fall away as like, okay, yeah, well, if this client has been treating me this way all along, but I'm no longer okay with it.
Yeah.
In the past, like, oh, my pain body trigger in my case would have actually not had me say anything or not have me acknowledge how I feel. And I would go, oh no, because I'm desperate for money or whatever, I would be putting up with it, right? That's how you did most of it. But now that we're not, no, I mean, if it's just disrespectful, honestly disrespectful, as opposed to you just being triggered. Do you know what I mean? Those are two different things.
Yeah. And
that's something to differentiate about.
It's sometimes hard to differentiate, but yeah. Right. No, it is important to have boundaries in that. And it's like, just because you've hired us to do something, it doesn't mean that we should or need to or can do something beyond that, beyond whatever the scope of the project is. And it's like, maybe not. Maybe we will for free. Maybe we will for a fee. Maybe it really depends on the circumstances. And being in a respectful, friendly relationship sure helps facilitate that.
Yeah, but like, this is again off topic, but like you and I would never have those boundaries. We would throw everything and anything for free.
That's the thing.
Because we're always on some sort of scramble to
make them happy so that they'll keep paying us.
Yeah, right. Like, which is like
Right.
as an agency who has hundreds of employees.
Yeah.
No, it goes on to everything goes on to billable.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't.
If you're doing something
matter.
for the client, there is a fee associated with that. End of story.
Yeah. And we would do all kinds of stuff for free all the time, which is like not even conducive. That's like not even how the world works.
Right.
But I think it's because we approach the company to begin with at some sort of disadvantage. Because we ourselves, like emotionally, like trauma-wise, we're at some sort of disadvantage. And we never reevaluated that.
Right.
Into the future. I mean, especially like if you've been doing it for several decades, we never reevaluate that. And now that, I'm changing the vibration frequency of how I approach things, we have to change the way we do things. All the conflicts that you and I have are in regards to that.
Yeah.
You're still approaching things from like this old paradigm of like lesser than, and me going, no, I mean, if this is not in alignment, why are we not charging for this?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but, so that feeling, right. But it goes back to, it is feeling uprooting, right? Like, this is what I was exploring. This is what I thought after I read like the whole. The definition of it is being uprooted, right? Like you feel uprooted, and I thought, well, yeah, I agree that I feel uprooted, but at the same time, I paused back and I go, but I don't think that's a bad thing, right? Like, I think it's a good thing to feel uprooted and to feel uncomfortable and to feel like you have to reevaluate and rethink and things are changing and your scopes and objectives and opinions are changing.
Right. What? Not too long ago, I'm like, 2025 might be the year of discomfort. And that sounds like a bad thing. To anybody, that would obviously sound like a bad thing, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Because it's like being okay with the discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, on one hand, nobody wants to be uncomfortable. Uncomfortable kind of definitionally means something that you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
But there is this weird piece in being okay with discomfort because that's life. Discomfort happens. You can't go a day without finding something that is not how you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
There's an element of control in there because if it's not how you want it to be, you want to change it or you want to replace it or whatever. That's my nature. But being okay with it is really liberating and it's really freeing. And like any other muscle, the more you relax into, well, this isn't how I want it, or well, this isn't doing what I want, or this person isn't doing or saying or paying or whatever it is. And that's okay. And I don't have to, I can decide and I'm going to make an effort to change that. Or I can be, I'm not, this is whatever it is fine. But being okay with it and not having the gut reaction, the snap reaction to fight it or control it or change it is it gets easier. It gets less uncomfortable. The uncomfortable things become less uncomfortable over time the more you like relax into them. So year of discomfort, I don't think is a bad thing. I have been more uncomfortable but okay with it this year than ever before in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess with me, I don't know. I think this is the right thing to do, but for all I know, maybe it's not. when I feel discomfort, I always try to go into the childhood trauma
Yeah.
to try to pinpoint it, right?
Yeah.
So it's never like, oh yeah, look, this is a trigger, and this trigger is making me feel uncomfortable. I'm gonna be okay with this discomfort. I then go, okay, because deep down as a child, I feel X.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely part of it too.
And then I sit with that. I allow my child to cry or to feel discomfort or to allow that memory, like that trapped energy, to flow through.
Mhm.
And that, I guess that's when I say when it's overwhelming, is because it's coming out of there.
Yeah. I mean, that's important too. I should have said that.
Yeah, but I think I would say that's the only right way to go about it. Easing into discomfort at the present trigger or the present moment is fine, but then I think the way you train that muscle not to be triggered next time is not to not react to it. I mean, that's, I guess, it's a good progress, but it's to release the initial hold.
Right. No, I mean, there's a reaction. There's a emotional reaction, but to at least not immediately have a physical reaction. And then, yeah, I guess in the moment, I may not go into the childhood thing, but I kind of like cue them up. And when I meditate or when I lay at night or when I wake up in the morning is when I will kind of go back through like a daily retrospective and like, here are the things that affected me this day, and then go into each one of those. So it
Yeah.
isn't, I don't know. I don't do it real time during the day.
No, I guess with me, I do it during the day. Like right. So like there's this huge wave of like, and then like, okay, doesn't feel so great. Okay, well, where is it actually hitting? And then you go into the childhood and you're like, oh, it really doesn't feel great there. And I spend a lot of time there. I spend a lot of time where it doesn't really, really feel good. It feels really, really bad. And feels, like, remember, in one of the episodes we talked about, like, it is like viscerally uncomfortable, like beyond explanation.
Yeah.
But it's because the psyche that created that discomfort was a child that was not able to compartmentalize, or was not able to understand, or was not able to even draw parameters around a feeling. It was just like an overwhelm, period.
Right.
Complete overwhelm.
Right.
And so it almost feels like I go back into those individual moments, either actual moments in history or like just generalized feeling of discomfort, and I give it context, and I give it like soothing, and I give it like comfort in presence of this as being okay. However my imaginations happen to be working at that time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like last night when I got hit with the tooth thing, I was thinking, yeah, I do feel uprooted, and it's extremely uprooting. But then on top of that, I was thinking, well, no, I have all this childhood trauma of fear of the unknown associated with dental work, which is, I think, its own thing that actually contributes to this.
Sure.
Like, I just remember always being afraid of, that was a thing. And I would have never remembered that if I wasn't put into that shock of this medical diagnosis yesterday.
Right.
And of course, I knew this medical diagnosis was going to come for 6 months, but and actually, I think it's been getting better. But then, like, this another level of shock just brought all this up. Like, oh my gosh, I had so many medical fears growing up, that there's this whole trapped scenario about me, either losing all of my teeth at some point, or me dying from some sort of heart failure, or I don't know what the heck else was.
Shots in the butt.
The what? Well, shots in the butt was when I was in a hospital for the heart failure. So, but none of that is, I say, healthy, but I don't mean it in the literal sense. I mean in like metaphorical sense, right? Like,
yeah, sure.
Being unhealthy as a child, or being branded as unhealthy as a child, and then growing up with this looming, like, oh, you're not going to even make it to your 30s, does something to your psyche.
Yeah. I mean,
right?
when I first met you, you kind of told me that you're not long for this world. And I'm like,
But that is what I was told. Do you know what I mean? Like, think about the psychological impact of you being a young child, being diagnosed with like, oh yeah, this is just imminent heart failure. It's just a matter of years. And then like hearing that as like a 7-year-old, and you don't, I don't,
That's
how as
very
a
scary.
7-year-old do you draw context around, guess what? I'm basically a walking time bomb. Now, everybody's a walking time bomb, but like, oh no, I'm walking time bomb to where I'm not going to make it into my 30s is a weird thing to think, right? Like, and it's a weird, I think what happens is, and I think this happens, period, you have to numb yourself to perceived reality. Do you know what I mean? Like positive psychosis that we talked about is kind of that. But in this case, you're told something that is devastating.
Yeah.
Your childhood 7-year-old brain cannot process this. Like you don't have the capacity to actually process what this means, right? So you almost have to kind of like semi-numb yourself off to this idea in order to wake up every day and continue to be okay with yourself this day.
Yeah. I mean, in a sense, you're uprooted.
Yeah.
Not in a good way, though.
Yeah, but constantly,
Yeah. No,
right? Like if I'm,
I can't even imagine. Right? I didn't have any medical issues growing up, so I didn't enjoy the dentist, but it was like something. Okay, well,
no, the dentist wasn't life-threatening, but it was definitely fear-threatening. Like the amount of fear
right.
that it captured fear that I never processed in association with that.
Sure. I mean, it was a moderate annoyance. The dentist to me, it was. I didn't want to go, but I wasn't afraid of it.
Yeah,
It didn't hurt.
Well, like with me, it was never with my parents, so it was always me by myself with a class.
Okay, I guess I was with my
right.
My dad
so like
time.
you know, if I derive some sort of safety out of being in proximity or next to my parents, and like there was some comfort that I could derive from that, going to the dentist by myself with a class and a teacher who didn't give a shit about anything, you know, it's just a teacher, like she doesn't even care about you as a human being. So it was just a different scenario. Do you know what I mean? And so and maybe I was really, really good at having I think I was just really good at having nonstop fear of unknown as a child. And because that was already a constant feed within my childhood, this is just another thing that piped into it, right? To somebody else going to the dentist who did not have this like visceral open wound of fear all the time, maybe it would have been okay. But to me as a child, it was not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And yeah. And so I remember all these unknowns, like the more things I did not know about dentistry, the more it scared me. Like I did not know what happens when you have a cavity. And so like the idea of like, I don't even know what the drilling is. Like, so the fear associated with what drilling is, or the fear associating, does a shot hurt? The fear associating with like, what happens afterwards? Wait, what happens during? Do you know what I mean? Like, I dissected everything into all these micro fears.
There's fear of the unknown. I guess when I got my first crown, I didn't know what a crown was, and I didn't do any research. The dentist says you need a crown. I say, okay, because she's the expert, right?
Mm-hmm.
Won't get into whether or not it was necessary, but
just make sure everybody gets second opinions.
Yeah,
like lesson learned. Always second opinion.
I was talking to a guy at, I took the kids to their dentist yesterday, and there was a guy there, and he said that he grew up very poor and didn't have any running water until he was 14, and so there was no fluoride in the water.
So his teeth went bad?
Yes, all of his teeth rotted out very early, and at some point he went to a dentist. And the dentist was like, yeah, most of these have to go. And the dentist pulled 13 teeth that day. And he's like, I wish I had gotten a second opinion.
Yeah. This
was right after I said, I got a crown, and then like 3 weeks later I got another crown because the dentist said need crowns. And I'm like, okay. And and then the dentist wanted to do something else. No, on you. And then you went to
3 crowns. She wanted to do 3 crowns.
And then you went to a new dentist, and that dentist was like, yeah, you don't need to do any of that stuff. So I think the first dentist was just trying to get money, which is his conclusion too. I said all this in front of the kid's dentist just so she could hear it too.
Dr. Daniel.
Yeah.
No, but I don't think she's a shyster at all. Like,
No,
she's
I don't
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, and our dentist, I think, is amazing.
Yeah.
But you know, yeah, but yeah, the unknowns, right? Like, if you're already in the mode of fear, right, and you fear the unknown because unknown is scary, but that's the only thing you can do as a child.
Yeah.
Like, everything is unknown to you.
Yeah.
So the second you start touching on anything, such as dentistry or such as, you know, medical procedures or being hospitalized, all of that is unknown.
Right. I mean, my go-to in that would be to learn everything I possibly can about whatever it is. That would be my default go-to.
Yeah, but that's a pain body
that's
soothing.
my way of soothing it, is because if I know, then it gives me some semblance of control. At least I can wrap my head around the situation. I'll know the right questions to ask. I'll know if there's alternatives. I'll know blah, 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 whatever.
Mhm. Do the guy's teeth look good? I had that thought, but
I couldn't tell.
Oh,
He
okay.
kind of mumbled a little bit, so I couldn't really tell.
oh, okay. If he's not proud of his teeth, maybe not.
No, I don't know what he ended up. He got a what's it called when they? It's not dentures. It was something else. I don't know if it was implants.
Implants?
Maybe it was implants. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
So I think he's got all new teeth. So imagine if you've got all implants, that you put in nice looking teeth. I imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, in as much as I could control it through knowing something, that has been my go-to my whole life.
Yeah. No, that's it. That control. I remember on last episode we talked about like this box of control.
Mhm.
Like, I just have this rigid box, and everything is honestly, nothing is flowing as long as this box is up and everything is in
Yeah.
control, because you don't want the universe to bring anything to
Right.
you that is outside of this box, because then there's fear.
Right. That's kind of half the reason of relaxing into the uncomfortable is practicing not controlling it.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why I don't go straight into the childhood thing is to sit with the discomfort on purpose, because I almost look at going into the childhood stuff as a way of controlling it
Oh, you think so?
a little bit, because I know that's the right thing to do. I know that will end up releasing it. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to sit with it for a little bit longer, and then later I will do it.
You see, with me, it amplifies it. It amplifies the discomfort.
It's a different discomfort for me. It is amplified, but it's different than the acute whatever it is right now. It's similar, and it's amplified because it's hitting closer to the nerve, but it's different. It lets me experience it twice almost.
Yeah.
Which you could say, well, there's a different type of control. I mean, you can control it by doing it. You can control it by, I'm not going to do anything. And that's right. Everything is control in a sense.
No, I mean,
I don't know. I mean, right, wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm
technique.
obviously still struggling with the correct application of processing in this particular case. But yeah, no, I mean, I feel it viscerally when it hits. And I go, okay, look, once again, you're hit, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, when I go into the child, sometimes it's not, I don't think I try to unravel the current scenario. I just realize, like, oh, look, the child inside is drowning or screaming or whatever. And I try to comfort the child during it. Because I try to soothe the system as opposed to have the system lock up. Because, that I think that's what happened, is I spent so much time locking the system whenever I felt uprooted, because I was scared and, of the unknown. Yeah, I guess uprooted is the good word for it.
It locks not. Whatever, something will happen, and I will have a gut reaction to, this is triggering. I would normally do X in order to.
Well, X is locking the system. That's how I see it, right?
Oh, see, X is some sort of action. Do something, say something, research something, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to purposely not.
Yeah.
I am deciding that I'm going to not. I may do it later. I may not do it later. It depends. But I'm not going to do it out of a fear response.
Yeah,
for
yesterday
sure.
when I was Googling all the options for root canals or alternative options for root canals,
Right.
I was
And
definitely.
I'm sure I triggered that fear more going, ooh, root canal.
Yeah,
I
no,
heard
you
that.
did. Yeah. Because you're like, oh, I think that fucks you over permanently. And like, it's not something you want at all. Yeah. No, yeah, I know. That I got really triggered by that.
Yeah.
No, but yeah. So yeah, there's me Googling it does provide comfort in the known, therefore takes away the fear
Mm-hmm.
that is associated with the unknown. But in my case, that fear that is triggered right now into the unknown directly correlates to all the other medical procedures in Ukraine that I've had.
Sure.
It's like a quite literally a duplicate. Like 40 years later, right, or 30 years later, I'm in the exact same position. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think I had a good dental hygiene when I was growing up because we didn't have water either. And I bet there's no fluoride. I don't believe in fluoride. I don't think it's the fluoride. I think it's just brushing your teeth twice a day and flossing.
Yeah.
Like so. So so like I know a lot of people think it's fluoride, but I think it's just having water means you're likely to brush your teeth. Do you know what I mean? And it's the brushing that matters.
Like from what I have seen, topically applied fluoride on the teeth probably helps, but consuming fluoride into your body doesn't. I'm not convinced that helps at all, and it may have actual negative consequences.
Yeah.
So.
Oh no, but
topically applied fluoride, okay. I'm still not sure that's for me, but drinking it, no. And don't give me it's a naturally occurring thing. It's like, oh, but fluoride's lead's naturally occurring, but we sure filter that out.
But it's naturally occurring in your body, and your body would be able to regulate it internally. Why add in additional fluoride? That's the way I see it, right? If it's naturally occurring in your body, then let it occur.
I mean, it's like you're just mass.
I mean, you and I have been off of fluoride
4 years,
4 or 5 years, including toothpaste, including topical, including water. I mean, if we are drinking water like at a restaurant,
but it's so minimal. I'm not.
Yeah, but like we don't go out too often. But all the water we drink filters out fluoride.
Yeah.
No, I don't think my tooth thing is related to fluoride.
No, I don't know.
I think it's related to me flipping the fuck out about feeling uprooted. Yeah, I don't know. It's strange. It's like, oh no. So wait, I still have yet to finish my thought. Oh yeah. So okay, being okay with feeling uprooted is, I thought that when I went to bed at night, I'm like, no, that's okay. It's okay to feel uprooted. In fact, I want to feel uprooted as an invitation into, yeah, it's okay to feel this discomfort. Like, and it's okay to let the universe, I almost see it this way, like right from this little cartoon, because I saw it yesterday as I was feeling uprooted and I was flipping out about this whole thing, right? I'm like, oh, thank God, universe, for bringing this cartoon to me. And I watched it and I thought, it's okay to feel uprooted and it's okay to feel scared, which in the past I would have never, right? Like prior to doing any kind of spiritual awareness, prior to 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I would have never allowed myself to even say this out loud.
That's the thing is I would have never allowed myself to feel it, let alone feel it and sit with it.
Well, and then
I would feel it and I would do everything I can to not feel it.
But also have it as a goal that if something were to come up, I'm okay feeling it. Right? Like having that itself as a goal.
Yes. Now that is actually the goal. It's like, I'm not actively welcoming unpleasant things into my life, but if they happen, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not actively trying to push them away and say no and reject them either.
Yeah.
I mean, good things happen and bad things happen. And, I can enjoy the good things and I can, be at peace with the bad things.
Yeah. Well, but, the bad things are there really. This is not escapism, but they're there to show you that you're reacting badly to something.
Right. And they're also, in the same way that if you had a life of only good things, would you actually enjoy that life? Right? Can there be good without bad? Can there be light without dark type of a thing? If, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not saying, everybody has to have, their family murdered and their house burned down and whatever in order to enjoy a flower. But, you know, when you stub your toe, it sure makes you appreciate all the time when you don't stub your toe.
Yeah.
And, I'm walking, here I am right now. I have not stubbed my toe recently. And you forget how nice it is just to be alive and healthy.
Yeah.
We take that for granted so much.
Yeah.
And so the bad things, especially the minor bad things, you stub your toe or you bonk your head on a wall or whatever, is a really great reminder that 99.9% of the time when I'm not stubbing my toe, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, but do you need that in order to? I think it's sad that humanity needs bad things to happen.
I think it's sad that humanity needs bad things to happen to appreciate the baseline. That baseline human life is overwhelmingly, amazingly good.
Yeah. And, but that's a problem within itself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's the correct way to live. I think you should be grateful, period.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't need bad things to happen in order to appreciate right now.
We shouldn't need them. But they when they do happen, every time I stub my toe, I'm like, wow, this hurts. I don't appreciate it enough when it doesn't. Or when you're sick and you're like, oh my gosh. Just, healthy is just so normal for us at least that it's like it just gets taken for granted. But it's so obvious when you're sick. It's like, oh, what I wouldn't give just to be back to normal, healthy.
When I was laying in bed for 3 days, I thought, no, this is fine. I was surrendering into this being okay. And I was actually fine. Like, I think it was the first time that I was sick that I surrendered into realizing that my body needs rest. I don't know. Like, it's strange because I'm like, wait, what was I doing prior to that? And I think prior to that, I was wishing that I was okay. And in this case, I was just like, no, like there's a surrender into realizing, no, like there are times where the body just needs to have 24 hours sleep cycle or like 17-hour sleep cycles. Do you know what I mean? And that's strange. But I thought, whatever my body is going through, and obviously I was the only one in the family that went through that. So whatever I'm going through, it requires a lot of sleep. To the point where at first I thought, wait, if I sleep all day or I sleep basically all night and into like 1 p.m., would I be able to go to bed come that evening at 9? And I was like, yeah, no, I'm exhausted at 9. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that is a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
It was like from 9 p.m. until like 1 p.m.
But I mean, like that's
2 days.
That's what, all the doctors would say, oh, you're sick, you're ill, whatever. You need rest. I mean, that's like how do you get better? Rest. That's what everybody says. And yet we don't. We're like, no, I gotta do whatever. I gotta control it.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe in the past, it felt like I was out of control because it felt like my body was taking over me. But then, which is kind of messed up because then that means I think that I have control of my body when it's healthy, which is, do you know what I mean? That's what that implication results in.
Yeah, I would feel like, I would be uncomfortable not doing stuff. If I'm sick,
because doing is what?
Because if I'm doing stuff, then I'm better. I'm good, and so I'm bad if I'm just relaxing.
Oh,
I mean, it's like am I relaxing? Yeah, but I'm really recovering from a sickness. Is what I'm doing. I'm healing my body. It's not like I'm, it would be like it would be laziness, and laziness means I'm bad, and so I wouldn't be comfortable doing that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Still, or just you would actively be aware of that.
Now, I don't know. I would at least be actively aware of it. I don't even know if it would go there.
Yeah. No, I don't even know where it went, but it went to like, oh, look how comfortable I am with this like thought processes that my body needs this much rest. And I thought that's weird. And I'm like, okay, and I don't have to understand it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know how a lot of people get sick and they have to go to the doctor and they have to figure out if it's a flu A or B or COVID or a cold. And if they go to the doctor and they say, I don't know what it is. And then you're flipping out because you don't know what it is.
You've got a virus.
Must be cancer. You know what I mean? Like, I think, do you know what I mean? Like, I think, I don't know if all people, but a lot of people have this tenacity to know what it is, because not knowing what it is feels out of control more and is scary and therefore more threatening.
Yeah. The irony is, if it's flu A or flu B or COVID, treatment is rest. There's not much you can do. And even if it's a cold, I guess you could treat that with antibiotics, but really rest. So no matter what it is, the treatment's the same. So what does it matter what it is?
No, but I think in the long run, what matters is it gives you sense of knowing, which mitigates the fear of the unknown.
Yes, obviously it does. That is what it is.
That is the only thing it actually does. Because
the treatments for all of those are the same. Make sure you drink fluids and rest.
Yeah. Yeah, but because societally we have made it okay to go to the doctor and determine what the variant of the flu is, and God forbid that they tell you they don't know which one this is, right? That sends you into even more shock. Do you know what I mean? But the second the doctor says, oh, it's just flu A or whatever, then you feel safer, even though your position has not changed. You still have that many days to recover. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
you just know what it is.
There might be some sort of placebo style, like, oh, maybe this isn't even a placebo. This is like, oh, now my system has calmed down for knowing what it is, and being in a calmer state will help promote healing faster.
Yeah.
As opposed to, if I don't know, I'm all worked up and I'm anxious and I'm nervous and I'm freaking out.
Yeah, people use that as a tool.
That's only going to make you sicker for longer.
Yeah.
So, but
it's a tool, but it's still unhealthy.
Right. You can achieve that without going to the doctor the way you did.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't take any medicine. I just went, oh, my body's just really exhausted, and that's okay. But before I would have went like, no, right? Like all the times in the past, I don't know, as a child, I was okay laying in bed. Like it sucked to miss out on some things, but like I was not okay.
Yeah. I always, if I felt bad, I would end up at a doctor somehow growing up with some sort of pill to make it better.
Yeah. I think it's just very American and medicine heavy approach. But I think that's just American approach. It's a very medicine heavy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, heck, when I met you, you were like on 3 or 4 different pills or something.
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember what they were.
At least 2 for sure, but I don't know. One was allergies and something else was something else.
Yeah. Gosh, I had allergy shots growing up. I can't believe it.
Well, no, you were on allergy medicine.
Yeah, no, when I was young, I had allergy shots. I had to go weekly to get allergy shots, which is not fun, but it wasn't that big of a deal.
Oh, really?
It was like on the same compound as my dentist too. So that whole area was like, oh, this is where we go to not have fun. But
oh yeah, all of you doctors were in the same area?
No, the dentist and the allergy doctor were over in DuPont.
That's probably the one I went to, right? Because I tried to go to your parents' dentist one time across from like.
No, this was my
child dentist.
Pediatric dentist.
Okay, then yeah, I don't know what that one is.
Yeah, and then the allergy guy was there.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a whole hospital complex, so that's like where everybody goes not to have fun.
Yeah, this is the square mile of not having fun in town, right there.
That's funny. Yeah, no, it's a lot. Like, yeah, so it's interesting because like there were 2 things that I saw yesterday that were talking about okay feeling uncomfortable, okay feeling uprooted, right? But I think what causes the medical issue, or what caused my medical issue, is one, not recognizing that is how you feel, right? Just like not admitting to yourself that you even feel that, right? Which I don't know what that does. Like not admitting to yourself that you feel that, how would that be helpful? But
right. I mean, it's
maybe
some sort of avoidance to
denial to which I know that was me, because to some extent, one of the ways to deal with it is not to deal with it and pretend like it's not there. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is not me for the most part, but for like, I feel uncomfortable.
right. It
It's
feels
the easy way. It's easier to deny that you feel uncomfortable because the chance because then you have to admit there's nothing you're going to do about it.
right. It feels like you can almost like rewrite reality in your mind and go, oh, this isn't a thing. I don't have disease X, whatever it is. And while there's something to that,
It's different than surrendering into disease X.
it's very different than that. There's something to it in a manifestation type of manner, but I don't think that's the right
That's not what I was
approach.
doing. No, what I was doing is just denying the fact that I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I think because that's just the pattern I have always had.
Right.
Like, why? Because to admit the fact about me feeling uncomfortable about being uprooted, like, let's be honest, there's no solution to feeling uprooted.
Especially if at a higher level you're like, well, uprooted is the right place to be.
Right. But I wasn't admitting to that. Like, that's the thing, is my psyche was feeling uprooted. And my cognitive mind, my goal into self is I am gonna uproot myself. Like, I will be okay feeling discomfort. But like, those two inside my head never married each other. Like, that goal and then me recognizing that I was accomplishing my goal, but then not feeling uncomfortable at that goal while it was happening didn't register.
Yeah.
I still don't understand how that would have been so fucked up to where I didn't register that.
You can, it's possible to know that something is the right thing, better thing, whatever, and still be like, yeah, but that's scary.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So
definitely scary.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it was. It was just like, I was scared because even though I knew that I was driving myself into that place, trying to be okay there, but I was still scared. And but not admitting, not admitting that I am actually scared about the thing that I'm trying to be scared about, which is
yeah.
I mean, which is strange,
right? And if the acute thing is a health related thing, that just makes it even scarier because
Well, no, the health thing started because I already felt uprooted, and I already felt like I couldn't grasp things and I couldn't hold on to things.
Right.
Right. To some extent, every single time I have tried to reach out and do something in the physical world, like for the last 2 or 3 years, right, it's been a no. And so, like, the universe has positioned itself to where, no, you will not be able to grab onto anything at all that will offer you stability. That's kind of what the universe has done.
I mean, that's a very uprooting thing.
But like, in that case,
it's like you can't even put roots down.
Yeah. So completely up in the air and uprooted. And and it has been making me feel extremely uncomfortable. But maybe now I'm like, that has made me feel extremely uncomfortable. And only now I'm like, it's okay to realize that like when the word in Lewis's Hay book says uprooted and unbounded, like, you just feel like there's no roots. And it's different from being ungrounded. This is different. This is, like, not grounded into earth is different than that.
Yeah.
This is like, I guess, similar to, like you said, similar to identity crisis, just in a existential way. Because with me, identity never is an identity, right? Like, I already don't relate to things as an identity.
Yeah.
But it's just like nothing. Like, there's actually nothing that would, like, I realize now that it's okay to be without any definitions at the most basic level of self. Do you know what I mean? And it's okay not to be grabbing onto anything and not to be participating in anything. It's okay to just be, which is strange. Like, when I say be, like, almost like this nebulous cloud floating through nothing.
Right.
but because that's how it feels.
Right. And that's like, I know even recently how scary that would sound. Because it's like, A, it's nebulous. And if it's nebulous, then it's undefined. And I don't know what it is. And that's scary. And then B, I know what, I don't want to call it the opposite, or what my MO would have been, which is very not nebulous, very defined, very
Control.
precise, very controlled.
Perception of control.
And so,
right?
Giving all that up is, it's its own death.
Yeah, but like the thing is, the control is never there. It's a perception of control.
It's the illusion of control. Just replace every time we've said control with illusion of control.
Yeah, and
for everybody, everywhere, all the time.
But if you see it for what it is, it doesn't actually make sense. But psychotically, it makes your body feel better.
Sure.
And so,
well, it makes your body feel less bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It just distracts the system from complete disarray of
right.
Whatever. Yeah. Whatever the forward is. I guess as far as this analyzation goes, is okay with being uprooted, but allowing yourself to feel that you feel uprooted, and allowing yourself to know that it's okay even if it doesn't feel safe. So like maybe like it almost feels like a more visceral form of surrender. Do you know what I mean? At least it feels more visceral to me. Like another psychological interpretation of surrender. Like if you ask me what surrender was 2 years ago or a year ago, I wouldn't have had this interpretation.
Yeah, me either.
So just kind of like its own.
It's like I don't know how to word it. Saying it's deeper is the wrong way to word it. Saying it's at a higher level is getting closer, but still
like more
not
honest.
Helpful. More honest, but like
more uprooting though.
Yeah.
Like, right, surrender. It's interesting because it's like surrender through awareness into it, like desire into it. But at the same time, acknowledging the amount of discomfort that brings in.
Yeah. It's like, I used to think it was just, letting whatever happened happen. And that may be a part of it, but it's really, and being okay with it, which is
and
nuanced.
Being okay with it and allowing the emotional influx that comes along with it to be your truth.
Yeah. And being okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the event, there's the trigger, there's the underlying childhood trauma behind it. And, accepting all of that.
Yeah.
And those are separate things, but they're linked. They're connected in some cosmic way too. And seeing the connection and going, acknowledging, I may not like this. This may not be my preferred scenario or outcome or whatever, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a skill set I have.
No, it's very, very opposite of how I have always been.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's opposite of almost the American way, in a sense,
Definitely the way I was raised, just, like perception of control takes you away from there.
Yeah. I mean, like,
is this control?
Yeah. The whole, like, whatever it is, we will take it and change it and fix it and mold it and build it to be what we want it to be, because that's the way it's supposed to be. And anything else is just wrong. Almost to this, manifest destiny, but for everything. Oh, well, this is broken. Well, then I'm going to, fix it, or I'm going to throw it away and I'm going to buy a new one. And there's no problem that's unsolvable. Every problem, anything that's not right is a problem to be solved, can be solved. We will solve it. Whether it's time or effort or money, it can be solved. There's something wrong with your body. Well, we'll find the right pills. We'll find the right doctor. We'll find the right treatment or the surgeon or whatever. It can be fixed. Everything can be fixed.
Do you think to some extent, in order to mitigate all discomfort?
To some extent, that's the whole point.
Yeah, but so
I think this is very Western, and I think Eastern traditions are not like that. At least not as much.
Yeah,
especially ancient Eastern traditions. I don't know how. I think there's been kind of a Westification of the whole world over the last, 100 years or more, less. I don't know, but I think, the ancient peoples, really ancient peoples, the indigenous peoples, didn't have this, the world must be molded to my design. The world, the scenarios, whatever it is, there's, and there's this weird balance. It's like, oh, well, if it's all right, the plants aren't growing because it's not raining. There's some sort of ceremony or rain dance to help promote rain. There's I'm going to go dig a channel to irrigate it, right? From the river. I mean, that's an option. There's I'm going to go, get pails of water and dump it on it. There are things you can do that are imposing various levels of control. And I'm not saying that any of those are right, wrong, good, bad, but the modern Western way to do it is certainly not, do a rain dance and surrender it to a higher power to fix it. It's certainly not that. We'll pump in water. There are technical solutions to all problems.
But surrendering to the higher power is bringing yourself in balance with nature and the universe.
Yes, it is. And that is not where Western society is.
But I think we have ran away because that's unknown and that's nebulous and that's
but pipes and channels are known.
Yeah, maliciously or not, feels. I mean, one, if we have lost that power, it's just interesting, right? Like the show that we started watching, and they were not. Yesterday we started watching the season 2 of the Rings of Power on Amazon, and then remember the trolls. Is the trolls? Is that what they are? Dwarves. They were not with the mountain, right? And so the mountain they could no longer speak with the mountain, right? Right, and we as a Western society are not one with nature. We're not one with land. We're not one with anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because at some point, we lost the ability to be one with it because the amount of control, being one, it does not have control in it. Being one just means being in balance.
Right.
Being in surrender, being in, what's the word?
Harmony.
Harmony, but reciprocity. Right, there has to be this reciprocity of me and then earth, or of me and then land, of me and then the stream. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't have the reciprocal relationship between us and all aspects of nature to the micro scale or versus the whole Mother Earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the whole idea of us as energy or us as spirit or us as conscious love being.
Yeah.
We lost that.
I mean, the whole topic of farming is a fantastic example of this. The way that what farming has turned into, especially since World War II, in especially the United States, is no, it was even before World War II, because the Dust Bowl was in the 30s. So the last 150 so years in the United States, where farming became industrial farming, is this: we humans know better, and we will impose our will through technology and science on all aspects, including farming and agriculture, and factory farming of animals too. And ta-da! Now we can make more, and we can make it better. We can faster. We can make it grow bigger, and we can stop the pests, and we can stop the weeds through all these things that turns out are also poisonous to us. And so, spoiler alert, we're actually killing ourselves through this, but the companies that make the pesticides and the herbicides and sell the copyrighted seeds are making a bunch of money. As opposed to what had been done for the 100,000 years before, which worked, which is now they call regenerative farming, which is just farming as it existed in the past.
It's conscious farming without killing the land.
Yes, it's a harmonious relationship with earth, with soil, with water, with plants.
Yeah, but to practice that, you have to feel it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
And that's not saying there's not a place for technology, right? You need a tractor in order to do any farming at any scale that is more than a household. That's fine. And they have that, whatever it's called, to basically, if they plant a cover crop to kind of knock it down and turn it into a mulch. No chemicals. But and this is not an anti-technology rant. It is we've become so disconnected with nature rant.
Yeah. Well, I think what it is we're disconnected because over the decades, if not, like, what is it? Centuries, I guess. Maybe if not like millennia, we have lost the connection to balance of self. And then thus, when we lose the balance of self, right, when we're trying not to feel what we actually feel, right? Like going back to my, tooth here, if I'm not feeling what I'm actually feeling, if I'm not even acknowledging my body feeling or like my emotionally feeling, then my body becomes imbalanced. And the second my body becomes imbalanced, the natural healing process of my body cannot heal my teeth. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, that's where illness comes from.
Right. And so if my body is imbalanced because my emotional state of distress is imbalancing my system, then instead of going in emotionally and going, wait, let me actually figure out what the fuck I'm feeling, right? And it's so fucked up to where here's me in my 40s struggling to figure out what I actually feel, which is just discomfort and uprootedness and fear of unknown.
Right.
And I'm struggling to allow myself to feel it because for the last 40 years in this lifetime, I have spent pushing myself away from balance by not feeling what I have been feeling.
Yeah.
Because it was unsafe to even feel it. Much less experience the unsafety, but I actually allow myself to even feel more unsafety. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
So
as an expert in not feeling,
right?
I do know what you mean.
Like I say I don't have a skill set in feeling, and that's just fucked up. Like in the Eastern traditions, right? Like people go, what do you mean you don't know how to feel? What do you feel? But that's where I am. That is my truth right now. I do not know how to feel what I actually feel because I have spent decades perfecting not feeling it. And so now I'm sitting here going, well, here's why I'm having my tooth issues, because I have been trying not to feel what I actually feel, but recognizing that, oh yeah, I actually feel uprooted and uncomfortable and it's okay. And being with that, if nothing else, allows my body to just have flow. That pranic flow is just going to get restored by the mere nature that I allow this feeling to be present. Much less releasing the deep-rooted trauma, just flowing. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel myself like going, it's okay. Like, Worst case scenario, guess what? You die from the tooth infection, which is actually not going to happen, but that's okay too. And if you die 1,000 deaths from the tooth infection, that's okay too. If you're going to be without a tooth and just walk around, like hillbilly style or Ukrainian style, that's okay too. Do you know what I mean? Like just surrendering into all the fear points of what my mind thinks might happen is okay.
Yeah. What really helped me was at some point I realized that, the discomfort is reality not matching what you want. And you could just almost sum it up as that. Whatever it is that is uncomfortable, whatever reality is, does not equal what you want reality to be. And that could be as specific as, well, my toe hurts because I banged it and I don't want it to hurt. Or, I have, disease X and I don't want to have disease X because I'm going to die. Whatever it is. And doing it just realizing that everything from the slightest annoyance to the biggest perceived catastrophe boils down to what I want, reality, not matching up.
See, does that
make just
is that it?
Simplifies it.
Is that because that's not? I mean, you could be right. I just don't. Is that it?
I mean, that's how that has done a lot for me to look at it like that. Whatever it is that I'm bothered by, I'm like, oh look, here it is. It's the situation reality is X. What I want is Y. X does not equal Y. Now I'm bothered by that. Look at that. Isn't that? It's just I'm attached to Y, but I'm given X.
I guess with me, it's not bothered. It goes down to I'm scared.
I mean, it can be scared, but scared is just a deeper sense of, bothered. You're at the very least bothered. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you're frightened.
No,
maybe you're
me,
annoyed. Maybe it's
scared.
whatever.
Like to me, it just goes down to scared.
Yeah. Well, you bump your toe. Are you scared? Or is that's annoying? There's whatever.
With me, I never had the toe reactions that you do.
Well, but whatever. I mean, it does.
Right. That's the thing. Is you? Maybe that's the difference between you and I. You getting a toe bumped bothers you because it's not how you want the outcome to be. But my filter on toes, I don't. Right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with me, the triggers are safety. It's safety, and so tooth somehow safety.
I've had things that safety for sure.
Yeah, but I'm not bothered by it, and it's not how I don't want it to be. It's just I'm scared.
Yeah, I guess if your spoon broke, that would somehow trigger unsafety in you. You like that spoon? You like that spoon? Yeah.
No, you wouldn't trigger unsafety. I guess if I broke the spoon. If the spoon broke on its own, you see, with me, it's always tied to safety.
Yeah. Well, now we can't have. That's why we can't have nice things. Whatever.
But you see, in that case, unsafety to me,
money.
No. Unsafety ties to mistrust, and I don't trust you because I cannot trust you to take care of things, and you fuck things up for me. Therefore, it's unsafe.
All right, what if the spoon broke independent of me?
See, independently, that's what I'm thinking. If the spoon right now spontaneously broke,
or you broke it.
Yeah, I see. When I broke the deck, right? So when the contractors broke the deck, it was unsafety. When that broke the deck, it was feeling of complete helplessness and hopelessness.
Is that unsafe?
Unsafe. Unsafe. No.
But either way, there is I want the deck to be nice. The deck isn't nice. Whether that's contractor's fault, whether it's your fault or whatever.
It is that is so surface based that.
No, I know it's surface based, but it applies universally.
But I think to me, if I left it there, it would be complete disservice.
Right. No, I'm not saying
solution.
I'm not saying leave it there, but I'm saying that is the.
I don't even see it as that.
To me,
I just see it as unsafe.
That is the most eye-opening thing in the world, is to see everything as that. Level one is reality is not what I want it to be. that is the root. There's the acute problem, is the reality is not where I want it to be. And then what does that make me feel? Realizing that what I'm feeling is because of that disconnect.
Yeah, okay, maybe that's a trick you use to allow yourself to even feel that. I
Yeah.
just automatically feel it. And then it's overwhelming.
Maybe that's what it is. But that when I connected that,
yeah,
that is just this, that opens everything up.
yeah,
Whether it's, oh, my hip is right, my hip is slightly uncomfortable right now from sitting in this position for so long. I don't want it to be like that. Isn't that funny? Now I could move. I can sit here like that. I don't know, I look at everything like that right now, and it opens it up.
Yeah, on the last episode when we talked about hitting that wall, maybe because
that's a way in. Maybe that's because that's
you use that as a way in.
First door in. Yeah. But literally everything. It to me that feels like a universal truth of anything that bothers anybody.
Maybe it just works
for the slightest bother to the deepest terror. Oh, there's a murderer in my house coming to kill my family. I don't want that to be the case, right? Oh, I'm slightly uncomfortable sitting here. I don't want that to be the case. Equal. And saying equal, I almost want to say, yeah, but different degrees. But no, equal.
Yeah, that doesn't work for me.
That works for me.
Yeah, for me, it's just unsafety, period. And then I just go down into, I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay with feeling unsafe. And then I can be because then it is equal there. To me, it is equal there. I mean, and that's so maybe that is your toolkit that you use in order to get past self. And with me, it's the toolkit of okay, don't close off because chances are there's going to be a box being built very quickly. Bricks and cement is being piled up somewhere, double wall, double layers. I don't know. And so just don't build a box and then feel unsafe. And it's okay to feel unsafe.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah. No, but to wrap it all up, because we're not allowing the self to feel this complete imbalance of just feeling, our external world is just representation of that, right? So when you talk about regenerative agriculture or us killing the soil, us not being able to have enough food here in a little bit, all of that comes down to, it's just a reflection of our inner being not being balanced within. And then therefore, our extension of our actions out into the world is that imbalance.
Yeah.
Right. The reason why the rain doesn't come is not because the rain is not able to come naturally, because the fear and imbalance that we're projecting out within the cumulative nature of our, cosmic consciousness, morphic resonance, whatever you call, does not have rain coming. Right. And the native traditions, why did they have a rain dance? Is they realized, oh, look, something within our tribe is imbalanced.
Yeah.
And we need to, in fact, they talked about if somebody becomes ill, that was a great blessing, because then the entire tribe can look at this particular person and their ailment, right? Louise Hay style and Dolores Cannon style, and then go, oh, how is their illness reflective of our morphic resonance of our tribe?
Yeah.
And then they can, the shaman can, I say shaman, but their elder, their wise men can look in onto the ailment and go, oh, look, just like the Louise Hay thing goes, oh, you feel uprooted. We feel unstable. We feel like we are ungrounded and in fear mode. And then they have a ritual ceremony, right, where they bring in, with whatever the shaman or the wise men being guided into, whatever this balancing is, right? So as they heal this one individual, to them was so important to heal this one individual because he was representation of the offshoot of the entire community. And I'm reading the Black Elk. Is that Black Elk Speaks? Is that what it is? I don't know.
So.
Right. It talks about their communal representation. The first part of it just talks about the war with the white men, but the entire nature is these rituals. They looked at the entire tribe as this one cognitive being, right? Like really one being, even though it's made up of 30 or 40 individuals, they looked at themselves as one. And if they got a guidance from the spirit, the ceremony was meant to heal, not on even individualized level heal, but a communal heal.
I think Western society has made the individual the important unit.
But it is. We are, except we're imbalanced.
But at the same time, it has
individual, and then therefore not responsible for the greater good of others.
In a way that is disconnected.
Yeah.
In a way that is tragedy of the commons style. Well, if I can take a little bit more for me, that's okay. If I can I can, what.
We lost our responsibility as an individual to the morphic resonance of a greater community.
Yeah. And so in truth, there's both, right? Yes, there's the individual, and yes, that's important, but there's also, whether you say, whether the group is the family or the tribe or the city or the state or the nation or the earth, or, the relationship with the ground and nature and trees, all of that. And then I would go further and go, that is actually the same thing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like the master level interpretation of it. We want to say, oh, there's me, and then there's everything that's not me.
Yeah.
First of all, there's me, and that's important. And I think that's where most of Western society is. And if you can get to the next level, that's, well, there's me, and then there's everything else, and that's important too.
Yeah.
And that's a better place to be. But then at some point, hopefully you can get to, there's me, which is everything else.
Yeah.
Some sort of oneness with not just other people, not just your family, but everyone and everything, the rock and the tree and, Jupiter and whatever. It's all one in a very real and literal sense there. From there,
there's responsibility.
There's responsibility, but like doing something to hurt someone else doesn't even make sense. You can't, it's not even like a thing. It's not a problem because who would do that? Who would go steal from someone else? You're stealing from yourself. It doesn't even make sense as a concept. So many problems take care of themselves at that level.
But I think that's still artificial because yes, it is important not to steal because you're stealing from yourself. But if you're not taking care of your own self, the idea of stealing from somebody wouldn't even come into your mind. Not because it's hurting somebody else, just because you're in balance. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're taking care of yourself and your prana is flowing and you feel yourself being one, you're never in lack.
Yeah.
You would not need to steal.
Right. Yeah, right. There you go. That's an even better reason. It's not just because you're hurting someone else, it's because that doesn't make sense in the first place.
But the lack doesn't even exist.
Yes.
Because you're in balance, right?
Yeah.
Right. There's no medical problems in my case if I'm in balance. And if I'm not in balance and I can't even identify the fact that I'm not in balance and I can't even admit to myself that I'm not in balance and I cannot even admit to myself what it is that I'm feeling that is causing the problem, I have nowhere to go, right? There's I cannot heal myself. Quite literally, I'm killing myself physically by not being able to integrate myself emotionally and mentally because I'm limiting the pranic flow because then that fear causes me to close off. Do you see what I mean? And the second my fear causes me to close off, that cuts off the pranic flow of myself from everything, including just my higher being, including just energy, just me being me, right? There's no me being me. And if that happens, that's what the result of Earth 2.0 right now, right? Yeah. Like that is what we're experiencing as Earth, is that we have shut off the pranic flow to our individual being by allowing the fear to consume us and not taking responsibility to acknowledge how we feel. I say that not as a blame, but as a reflectory nature of this particular episode.
Yeah.
Right? If I did not if I wasn't blind to my feelings of fear by being unrooted and unstable and feeling unsafe about it, right? This wouldn't be a conversation you and I would be having right now. It's important conversation to have. So I thank the universe for giving me
cosmically
root rot.
root rot.
Right. But that's what it is. The roots, right? The roots are rotted because quite literally at the base, right?
Perhaps that's what's happening to our plants as well.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, because right, there's no flow. Right. Yeah. Anyway, I think if nothing else, I'll have like whole bunch of ideas to contemplate now into the next week's podcast. just from just seeing self as I am, as opposed to trying not to see self.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.